Long before humans ever set foot on land, the oceans were a world ruled by pure danger. Not just predators, not just giant fish, but ecosystems where every bite could be fatal, where every shadow in the water meant death or survival. The prehistoric ocean wasn't just home to life, it was a battlefield on steroids. Here, evolution didn't play by gentle rules. Creatures grew massive, fast, and lethal, armed with teeth sharper than swords, bodies stronger than armor, and senses fine-tuned to hunt or escape with millisecond precision. Every inch of the ocean floor and every wave of the water column was a test of raw power, intelligence, and adaptation. A place where 30-foot armored fish crush anything in its path. A reptile with a jaw that could swallow a human whole glided silently through the depths, where the first apex predators carved out territory spanning entire seas. And survival wasn't a matter of chance. It was a matter of design, evolution, and pure terror. Millions of years before humans, before whales or great white sharks, the oceans were the ultimate proving ground. And today, we're going to dive into that world, to meet the beasts that made the prehistoric ocean one of the deadliest arenas in Earth's history. Next, we meet one of the earliest apex predators, a creature built like a tank and armed like a guillotine. Its name? Deadliest, the armored nightmare of the Devonian seas. Long before sharks ruled the oceans, before whales sang across the waves, there was a creature so terrifying that nothing dared to challenge it. Deadliest. It lived around 360 million years ago, during the Devonian period, the so-called Age of Fish. But this wasn't just any fish. This was a living fortress. Its head and jaws were encased in thick plates of armor, each one harder than bone, glinting like metal under the ancient sunlight. Its bite wasn't just powerful, it was catastrophic. Scientists estimate it could crush prey with a force of over 8,000 pounds per square inch, rivaling even modern crocodiles. And here's the part that made it truly lethal. Deadliest didn't have teeth. Instead, its armor plates formed razor-edged jaws, slicing through prey like industrial shears. Every bite sharpened those edges even more, like a self-honing blade. One snap could cut through shell, bone, or even another armored fish. It grew over 30 feet long and weighed more than 4 tons, a prehistoric torpedo wrapped in steel. It didn't chase for long. It didn't have to one quick lunge, one precise strike, and the hunt was over. But the scariest thing about Deadliest wasn't its size, it was its hunger. Fossil evidence shows that it sometimes bit its own kind, a brutal sign that when food was scarce, even other Deadliest weren't safe. For 20 million years, this armored predator dominated the seas. Then, almost overnight in evolutionary terms, it vanished, wiped out by a mass extinction that emptied the oceans and ended the Devonian era. But, for a brief shining moment in deep time, Deadliest was the undisputed king of the ocean, a monster of metal and muscle in a world that had never seen anything like it. When Deadliest vanished, the oceans didn't calm down. They just handed the throne to a new kind of killer. And this one had lungs, scales, and an appetite for anything that moved. Meet the mosasaurs, the apex predators of the late Cretaceous seas. Imagine a 50-foot lizard with the body of a shark, the skull of a crocodile, and the bloodlust of both combined. These weren't dinosaurs, they were marine reptiles, close relatives of modern monitor lizards and snakes, but built on a much grander scale. The largest species, Mosasaurus hoffmanni, could reach over 56 feet in length, longer than a bus. Its jaws were lined with double-hinged rows of backward curving teeth, designed not just to bite, but to drag prey straight down the throat. Some species had a secondary row of teeth on the roof of the mouth, a feature shared only with snakes, to make sure once a victim went in, it never came out. Mosasaurs ruled the Cretaceous oceans with absolute dominance. Fossils show stomach contents filled with turtles, ammonites, giant fish, and even other mosasaurs. They weren't picky. If it swam, it was food. They could launch from the depths like torpedoes, using their tail flukes for bursts of speed that rivaled modern sharks. But what made them truly terrifying wasn't just their size, it was their adaptability. Mosasaurs thrived in every corner of the prehistoric seas. Shallow lagoons, open oceans, even inland waterways that once covered parts of North America and Europe. Wherever they went, Smaller creatures disappeared. They hunted in packs, gave live birth in the open ocean, and evolved specialized forms, some built for crushing shells, others for fast pursuit. Each species was an experiment in marine dominance. And when a creature that size leaps from the deep with jaws wide open, the prehistoric ocean doesn't feel like a home anymore. It feels like a trap. For 30 million years, mosasaurs were the undisputed overlords of the sea, the reptilian embodiment of power and precision. Until 66 million years ago, a rock from space ended it all. But in their brief reign, they turned the oceans into their empire, proof that in the prehistoric world, danger didn't fade. It evolved. Fast forward tens of millions of years, the dinosaurs are gone, the mosasaurs are gone, the Earth is reshaping itself, and once again, evolution hands the ocean's crown to a new ruler. This time, it wasn't a reptile, it was a shark. And not just any shark, a monster so big it makes great whites look like sardines. Its name was Megalodon, and for nearly 20 million years, it turned the world's oceans into its personal hunting ground. Estimates suggest it reached lengths of 60 to 70 feet, with jaws wide enough to swallow a grown human whole 6 times over. Its bite force? Over 40,000 pounds per square inch, the most powerful bite of any creature that ever lived. If Deadliest was a tank, Megalodon was a submarine with teeth. Each one of its serrated fangs could grow as large as a human hand, perfectly designed to slice through flesh, bone, and blubber. Fossilized whale bones have been found with tooth marks matching its jaw, proof that this shark didn't just kill to eat, it dominated the food chain. Megalodon didn't just hunt whales, it hunted entire pods. It would strike from below, ambushing with speed and momentum, slamming into prey with the force of a freight train. One bite to sever the tail or fins, and the victim was left helpless, slowly bleeding out in the open sea. Then, the ocean's largest predator circled back for the kill. What's even more fascinating, or terrifying, is how widespread it was. Fossils of megalodon teeth have been found on every continent except Antarctica. No ocean was safe. Wherever life thrived, Megalodon followed. But even giants fall. About 3 million years ago, the climate cooled, the seas changed, and whale populations, its main food source, began to migrate to colder waters Megalodon couldn't follow. Its enormous size demanded warm seas and constant food. Slowly, inevitably, the monster disappeared. Still, the legend remained. Even today, when people see a dark shadow under the waves, they wonder, what if it's still out there? Megalodon was more than just a shark. It was evolution's final exclamation mark on prehistoric danger, the ultimate predator in an ocean already built on fear. For millions of years, Megalodon reigned supreme, but nature never lets one species rule forever. Evolution was already crafting a new rival, one that didn't have teeth for tearing, but brains for strategy. And soon, the ocean's next apex predator wasn't a fish or a reptile. It was a whale. Meet Leviathan melvillei, named after the author of Moby Dick. It lived around 12 to 13 million years ago. And unlike modern sperm whales that feed on squid, this one hunted other whales. Picture a 60-foot-long torpedo of muscle, with a skull built for ramming and teeth nearly 14 inches long, longer than a T-Rex's. These weren't flimsy fangs, they were thick, conical spears, capable of punching through bone and tearing entire slabs of flesh from its prey. For the first time in prehistory, the ocean wasn't ruled by sharks or reptiles, it was ruled by mammals. Intelligent, warm-blooded killers that hunted in coordinated bursts of speed and power. Fossil evidence shows that Leviathan targeted large baleen whales, biting chunks from their heads and flippers, sometimes battling creatures its own size. And just like Megalodon, it wasn't alone. The seas of the Miocene epoch were filled with strange new hunters, early orca-like dolphins, giant toothed whales, and swift, agile predators that could outthink their prey. For the first time, brains began to rival brawn. The prehistoric ocean was turning into an arms race, tooth against tooth, size against speed, instinct against intelligence. Imagine that world for a moment. Colossal sharks clashing with monstrous whales, the water thrashing with blood and bone as apex predators fought for dominance. It wasn't myth, it was reality. millions of years before humankind. Eventually, climate shifts, changing sea levels, and the evolution of modern whales reshaped the balance again. Leviathan vanished, Megalodon disappeared, and the ocean slowly gave way to the giants we know today: blue whales, orcas, and great whites. But for a brief window in deep time, the prehistoric seas were a war zone, where danger didn't just live, it competed. The prehistoric ocean wasn't just a graveyard of monsters. It was a testing ground for evolution. Every tooth, every fin, every strange adaptation we see today was forged in that ancient chaos. The creatures that survived weren't always the biggest or the fiercest. They were the smartest, the most adaptable. When the seas warmed or froze, when food ran out or predators evolved, life adjusted. It learned to change, to hide, to grow faster, swim deeper, or think better. The rules of survival we see in today's oceans, stealth, cooperation, strategy, were born in those prehistoric waters. Look closely at the modern great white shark. Its hunting precision is a shadow of Megalodon's reign. Watch an orca coordinate a kill, and you're seeing the legacy of Leviathan Melville, intelligence turned into dominance. Even the gentle giants, like blue whales, carry the mark of those ages, size as protection, evolution's shield against extinction. The ancient ocean was brutal, merciless, and magnificent. But it was never senseless. It was nature experimenting on an epic scale, sculpting life into new forms through destruction and rebirth. Every fossil we uncover today is more than a remnant of what once was. It's a reminder of how far life will go to survive. So the next time you look out across the sea, remember, it wasn't always peaceful. Beneath those waves once swam creatures so fierce, so alien. They'd make our biggest predators look small. And yet, every ripple, every shadow, every distant fin still carries their memory. Because even after 200 million years, the ocean never forgets its monsters.